Joining us now to analyze today's headlines is Courtney Morris. She's an assistant professor of African American and Women's Studies at Penn State University. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Sonali.
President Obama has just launched a campaign to win over members of the U.S. Congress to approve of a deal with Iran that his administration worked hard to broker. Obama plans to lay out his arguments in a speech at American University in Washington, D.C. today. The deal, if passed by Congress, would lift some sanctions on Iran in exchange for assurances that Iran would not develop a nuclear weapon for several years. Opposition to the deal comes primarily from the Israeli lobby group AIPAC, which, echoing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, hopes to convince the U.S. Congress that the deal is bad for Israel. Already 3 Democratic senators, including California's Barbara Boxer, have announced their support for the deal. Obama hopes the Iran deal will be a prominent feature of his foreign policy legacy. The deadline to vote on it is September 17th. Well, Courtney, if the GOP votes down this deal, won't it be like cutting off your nose to spite your face? Do you think that they despise Obama so much that they're willing to risk international embarrassment for the U.S.?
Well, I think that these days it seems like there's definitely Republicans seem to be operating under the logic of I will destroy this village in order to save it. And I think that, what we're really seeing here is the degree to which the Israel lobby led by AIPAC has really shaped the political response to this nuclear agreement by painting it as a deal that threatens the national security of Israel by essentially giving Iran the resources to develop nuclear weapons capacity. And I think that, again, this is a historic deal that is necessary. It will essentially remap our political relationships in the Middle East by allowing us to engage with Iran as a political partner rather than an adversary. And this will go a long way to change the public perception of the United States in the region, as well as avoiding further military conflict in the region, particularly with Iran, while also giving the international community the ability to monitor nuclear development in the country. So this is a critical agreement and it needs to happen. But I think the question really remains whether Republicans will support a diplomatic turn in the region or if they're going to continue to pursue the kinds of hawkish policy positions that the state of Israel seems to support these days.
And a new survey of policing in the United States comes just before the 1-year anniversary of the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. It's found that, quote, Black Americans are nearly 4 times as likely as whites to describe violence against civilians by police officers as an extremely or very serious problem. The survey also found that more than 80% of blacks say police are too quick to use deadly force, and they're more likely to use it against a black person. But contrary to that statistic, 2/3 of whites label police use of deadly force as necessary, and nearly 6 in 10 say race is not a factor in decisions to use force. The survey was conducted by the Associated Press and the Nork Center for Public Affairs Research. Both blacks and whites support changes to policing procedures. Well, Courtney, many surveys have found in the past that whites and blacks have very different perspectives on policing, but given all the evidence and the videos of racist policing in just the past year, are you surprised that whites are not more skeptical of police today?
I can't say that I'm surprised. I mean, I think polls have historically tended to show that blacks and whites, for the most part, tend to have sharply divergent views on the ways and the reasons why race matters in social life in the United States. And I think that while there are a growing number of white people who have come to see racially motivated police abuse as a serious structural problem, I think part of the issue is that black and brown communities really remain criminalized in the public imagination, so that when whites see videos or documentation of black and brown people having violent encounters with the police, the assumption is that they are engaging in criminal behavior that somehow prompted this militarized response to their behavior, right? And so I think that, again, what we see and what the study is revealing is that whites tend not to believe that these are serious issues, and that when people of color call out their experiences of racial abuse at the hands of the police, the assumption is that they're crying racism when really the issue is crime. And I think that there remains a tacit refusal to believe what black people say, which is why videos are necessary in the first place.
And finally, the Washington Post is reporting that the FBI has been digging into the security of Hillary Clinton's emails during her stint as Secretary of State. Secretary Clinton had used her own private email servers and hired a private Denver-based company called Platte River Networks to manage her system, which is the company that the FBI is now looking into. According to the Post, quote, the inquiries are bringing to light new information about Clinton's use of the system and the lengths to which she went to install a private channel of communication outside government control, a setup that has emerged as a major issue in her campaign for the Democratic presidential nomination, end of quote. So far, Clinton herself has not been singled out for any wrongdoing. Last December, she turned over tens of thousands of pages of work-related emails to the State Department and said that she deleted her personal email sent from the same account. Well, Courtney, some days ago, journalist Trevor Tim, writing for The Guardian, said, quote, "Sorry, Hillary Clinton fans, her email errors are definitely newsworthy." Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I think Hillary Clinton's emails are definitely newsworthy. And if you care about issues of, government transparency and, state accountability, and you're also concerned about these larger discussions around mass surveillance, absolutely Hillary Clinton's emails are worth talking about. It's frankly impossible to believe that she somehow thought that using her private email exclusively to conduct governmental business was her following the letter and spirit of the law. I just don't see how anyone could buy that argument. And it's disturbing because essentially by doing that, she created a back door to make it difficult, if not impossible, for people to be able to file Freedom of Information Act requests on those emails, to monitor what she was doing during those time, and really to have a sense of what information she was using that she had access to as she was using that private email account. So absolutely, I agree with his argument, and I think that most people will agree that this is something that they need to be paying attention to, and she's going to have to answer for this as she's running for the presidency.
Courtney, thanks as always for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Bye, Sonali.
Courtney Morris is an assistant professor of African American and Women's Studies at Penn State University. This is Uprising. We'll be right back.